Hello and welcome to Business Standard Dialogue. I'm Nivedita Mukherjee. This is the 10th episode of the Business Standard webinar, and we are going to talk about food today, food safety rather. Regulator in the time of fast food, that is the topic. And I'm happy to introduce a senior representative from the Food Regulatory Authority, FSSAI. Meet Dr. Kavitha Ramasamy. She's Joint Director, FSSAI, and she's going to talk about food regulation and what is new there, and lots of questions for you, ma'am. We also have Mr. Ankur Bisen. We can call him Ankur, a senior partner, the Knowledge Company. Welcome to the show, Ankur. Also meet my senior colleagues, Mr. Sanjeeb Mukherjee from New Delhi Bureau and Ms. Sharleen D'Souza from Mumbai Bureau. Both of them have been tracking this sector for a long time. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Our pleasure.
I'll go over to Ms. Ramasamy first. Shall I call you Ms. Ramasamy or Kavitha?
Yes, please. Yes, yes, please.
Dr. Ramasamy, rather.
Yeah.
So the regulator has been in the news recently of late, frequently, whether it's a rusted knife in a hotel kitchen or improper labeling of food products. So why is FSSAI so active suddenly?
Okay. Thank you, Nivedita. So we all are aware, the core mandate of FSSAI is to set science-based standards for the food products and to regulate the entire food supply chain, right from manufacturing, distribution, storage, retail, and import, to ensure a safe and wholesome food for the end consumer. So enforcement is always an integral part of the food safety regulation. And you could see in our website, every annual report, we update the enforcement activities. We publish that in our website. It is available. And one major thing what the public has to understand is FSSAI sets the standards based on thorough risk assessment, whereas it is the state food safety department to implement and enforce the same. So based on the parameters that are stipulated in the Act and whatever that is given in the regulation that are amended from time to time. So one thing which we have to understand is there are two types. One is registration and another is licensing. Again, in licensing as well, there is a state and the central registration. So the central registration is very thin. It is just a percentage, and whereas the rest of the 99% is a state licensing. So the central one comes under our regional offices. We have 4 regional offices across the country, and rest of the 99% of the licenses lies with the states and the UTs. This is very well evident in our licensing number, that is 14 digits, whatever we have given. The first digit represent either it is a registration or a licensing, and the second and third indicates the states. So the activity is continuous since the inception of the FSS Act, because it is a part and parcel of our mandate. But it has gained this visibility maybe because of the social media platforms. Otherwise, we do continuous inspections. All our FSOs, either they can do prior to the manufacturing or any time, they can get into the shop, they can do the inspection. We have surveillance mechanism where we will not penalize the FBO, but if there is anything, if it is a substandard or if it requires some corrective actions, we give improvement notices. So this is an ongoing task of FSSAI, and we have also given the penalties and the prosecution, but it depends on the gravity of non-compliances, the product recall and all. If it is a grave situation, if it is highly unsafe for consumption, then it is. So maybe this gained more visibility in recent days. The headquarters, we are also monitoring the advertisements and the claims that is made. What is the kind of sanitary and hygiene practices that is prevailing. We have a grievance portal wherein the consumers can launch a complaint to us, and that will be anyway addressed in the local domain wherever the jurisdiction.
So, Dr. Ramasamy, what you are saying is that nothing really drastic has happened at this
Yes,
point. It has been
yes,
continuously been like this, but because of social media and focus of newspapers, etc.,
yes, yes.
it's getting more prominence. Is that
Exactly,
correct?
exactly.
But
And I know this should not be considered as a merely punitive one. I know it's an important regulatory tool to ensure compliance, to protect the consumer, to enhance the trade. No, it's a continuous mechanism, and also this is given such way like I know we have to see it in a positive perspective as a kind of reflection of a stronger, more responsive and accountable food safety ecosystem rather than seeing it as a sudden rise in non-compliance. It is nowhere. Yeah, that is what I just wanted to insist. It is happening. Since it is happening in specific domain, it has not gathered the visibility. Maybe now because of the forum and the platform which we have, it has gained the momentum and it is.
But have you noticed anything very serious in the recent cases that needs greater attention than what was paid earlier?
No, nothing of such sort, because majorly what we are seeing is some kind of, see, that is what we have two segments. One is substandard. When there is a compromise in the quality, we call it as a substandard. Whereas unsafe, if it is, more the level of pesticides, contaminants, microbiological contamination, if it is a threat to the people, if it is epidemic, see, it is projected such way. Maybe the issue is very small to a segment which can be addressed, but the way it is projected in the social media, it's like a tremendous thing is happening. So we have not witnessed anything that is panic or that is of a major concern to the population.
Right. I'll come to you, Ankur. Nothing to panic, as Dr. Ramasamy is saying. But what is the industry saying? Do you think there is a sense of alarm in the industry because of so many notices going out, or is it just media playing it out?
I would like to thank you, Dr. Ramasamy, for putting a nice context to this issue of food safety. What ma'am has said is right. It is a concurrent issue between the center and the state. The FSSAI is a regulatory body to set standards, and it's up to the state to implement it. The pressure points that we are now seeing are emerging from the lack of implementation or the struggles of the food safety being implemented by various states. And what has happened over a period of time is that the nature of growth of food consumption in India has drastically changed in the last decade. Now, earlier, about 15 years back, 10 years back, the total food consumption, including medicines, was less than 5 lakh crores. Today, India consumes 19 lakh crores of food and medicines. Now, if I look at the FSSAI budget to manage food safety, for this 19 lakh consumption of food, we are at a 0.02%. If I look at the grants that were allocated to FSSAI to run which is about 550 crores. If I compare this with US standards, how much US FDA gets as grant compared to the size of its industry, it's 0.2%. So we are almost 1/10 of the kind of budgets that are needed to manage the food safety protocols to be deployed both by center and the state. Second issue that we are witnessing across states is the undercapacity of enforcement regulation. Of all the states put together, there are about less than 10,000 food inspectors at various roles. And if these food inspectors are expected to go to 10 million food outlets, one food outlet will not get a next visit from a food inspector in the next 5 years. So that is the extent of underinvestment that we have done in enforcement. Now, food safety as a behavior is not always profit motives will score over morality as far as food safety is. People will compromise on. So it is an acquired behavior where education and enforcement is needed. Now, so two things are happening. One, the nature of food consumption has expanded across multiple outlets. Just to create visibility and collect data on these, we don't have the apparatus to lift it up and give a quality judgment to say whether Dr. Ramasamy's claim is right or wrong. I can't say that because we don't have objective data. She's right. There are sporadic social media posts. There are stories that are emerging in mainstream media about, but these are sporadic stories. Can I today say that of the total food outlets, how many food outlets are FSSAI accredited? Or can I say that of the total food employees, food services employees, how many are trained by either the food inspectors or the FSSAI? Can I say that the food audits have happened across the states? We don't have data on that. So it is the starting point on which we need to create a implementation framework that covers education and enforcement. Basis whatever guidelines FSSAI has issued, that is something that needs to be worked upon. Now, I treat all the social media conversations as a good starting point because it is creating some pressure point in the system. It is creating awareness in the society that food safety is an important parameter. So we have issues around rancid oil, repeat oil usage in food services, safe and hygiene kitchens. We are talking about expiry management of FMCG products. What happens to products that are expired? How are they disposing? Are people or companies doing self-disclosures to state government and submitting reports? Are they filing these reports in their quarterly statements in MCA filings or public market? I think of that sort is happening. So these are the conversations that are needed now, specific on implementation, to build up on the framework of regulators, guidelines that have been created. So first layer is done. The second layer of implementation is where work needs to be done, so that I can go to ma'am and say, no, ma'am, you're saying right. Or I can go to ma'am and say, no, ma'am, you're saying what you're saying is contested.
Right. Well said. Ankur, you are watching this food space for some time. And are there any takeaways from the Nestle controversy that happened more than a decade ago when Maggi packets were recalled from all the stores and CEO had to fly down from Switzerland? And, there was so much of tamasha. So for the industry, are there any lessons also for the regulator?
Surely, there are lessons on food safety. And the Nestle story has not changed much. If I look at it today, we still keep seeing stories of such stories emerging. Recently, we had India's largest dairy brands expiry products being sold in Rajasthan. Okay, the distributors was pushing those products in Rajasthan. So how did he manage to get the expired products? So if I compare that Nestle story to this dairy company story today, nothing much has changed. Food safety is an important issue of human rights, of national pride, and of superior standards. It has a direct implication on our ability to export food globally. If we don't lift up the imagination, that is the importance, and that is the change that is needed, which is happening right now, but it is in bits and pieces. We have seen recently China and Nepal coming out heavily on our food exports of chili and mangoes. We have seen a lot of our food exporters face struggles on accreditation, on standards. So they want global standards, only then they can accept the shipment. So you have to create a different regime of certification, which is for exports, and the regime for domestic is completely different, which is for domestic consumption. So this disparity is emerging because of the fact that we are not looking at food safety in the way we need to look at. I would say that between the Nestle story and today, needle has shifted, but needle has shifted slowly. A lot more need to be done around it.
Sharleen, what is the feedback that you have from the industry? What are you hearing about these notices that are going out? Is it just a social media amplification, or is there anything more?
So from my conversation from the industry and a couple of the players who have got notices, what they've said is that companies need to be given time to respond to these notices. At least 7 days need to be given to them to respond, because what has happened is FSSAI has put out these notices also on social media, which has caused them which has caused their brands and their reputation to take some hit because of which. So they're saying that, at least give us time to respond, to understand that, what is the notice about. And the other thing that they're also asking is that, they have to send out notices also to their distributors to calm their fears, to calm even the consumer down, because even the consumer and the distributor is now worried whether the product that has come to them, especially in the case of mislabeling, they're saying the product is not bad, the product is not compromised in any way. At least, but the message that goes out to the consumer and to the distributors or the supply chain in this case, it comes across as the product is tainted, which then rattles everyone. So they're saying, give us time, come check our factories, check our processes, see if there is a problem. If there is a problem, we will rectify it immediately, is what they're saying. They've also said that the products have gone for approval in the past. They've got the ingredient list also checked by the regulator, after which it has gone on the back. So that is what they are asking for, because social media. Also, the other thing that one of the companies said is that, the complaints can also come from dubious sources. So how can you verify those complaints? First, even the complaint needs to be verified before it is posted on social media by FSSAI, is what they've said.
Dr. Ramasamy, are you listening to the industry and they have some grievances? And what do you have to say?
Yes. You want me to act on what both of them said, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. See, one thing, if we cannot compare ourselves with US FDA because it is established, 100 years before us. The FSS Act was passed in 2006, and the authority was established in 2008. So
it's a young body.
Yeah, it's a young body, and also, what. And now she rightly pointed, if the industry is saying like they should not have, we should not have taken the action, because it is all big brands. They are supposed to follow the ethics. They are very well aware of the, our labeling, advertisement and claims regulation. There are certain things stipulated that are mandatory to be followed. We have to see in these aspects. As I already said, one is quality compromise, another is safety compromise, the third one is misleading. See, if I have to pay some price, why I have to get an inferior product? Say, for example, if we are everywhere saying, even to the consumer also, you look into the first three ingredients. It is given in the descending order. So if somebody is making a claim based on one positive ingredient somewhere in the middle of the product formulation, obviously, if it is from a big reputed brand, there should be an ideal role model for the MSME, small food manufacturers. So that is what I could see is majority of the actions, developments, whatever happened over this last 18 years, that has not been magnified. But then small issues wherever there are, that is what I'm saying. Even if you are taking a non-compliance activity, even if you are publishing some surveillance report stating that, as I already said, we'll not penalize for surveillance, we'll give an improvement notice, we'll ask them to rectify. At the same time, it will also help us to revisit the standard, because it was made a long time back. So even if we do small activities, it is blown such way, such non-compliance is happening, this is happening, that is happening. See, for example, reused cooking oil. We are also asking all the food business operators, all outlets, we have set a limit for that, beyond which they have to discard it, or they have to channelize to the RUCO. Every single thing I can give you an example how it is to be. Of course, I go with the one, what Mr. Ankur said, like, the system is very well set and there may be implementation issues, but we are also continuously addressing those things. We are empowering our own officers. So whenever we bring some new order, amendments, advisory, we see to it is, we kind of exchange with the states, empower each and every officers that they are working in that domain, so that it reaches the nook and corner of the country for proper dissemination and implementation. So if you ask me personally, apart from a regulator as a consumer, I will say, because I am in this authority for last 15 years, so I will say, fire is a hazard. So uttering the word fire will not burn us. It depends on how we are handling. So food is very complex, sensitive issue, but the way it is propaganda, it is projected, it is such way. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, we have to keep on strengthening the thing, because now also I wonder when I see the US FDA or EU or WHO, they are looking into the basic food safety practices. Of course, our system is very diverse, fragmented, our standards, the Indian kind of food, the culture, ethics, everything is different. So we cannot copy paste what is prevailing globally. We may make use of the best practices, and we have to do India-centric approach.
Right, India-centric approach. Sanjeeb, coming back to you, can you, are you audible now?
Yeah.
So I was asking you about consumer protection body, Central Consumer Protection Authority. They too have been sending out notices. Is there a synergy between what FSSAI is doing and what CCPA is doing?
So basically what I understand is CCPA is mostly into things where misleading advertisements, or you mislead something, or you misrepresent the information. Like recently, if you see from that 100% pure coconut water, so CCPA sent out a notice that a company called Stoides or something like that, if I'm not getting the name right. So they claimed that it was 100% pure coconut water, when actually it was just not 20, even 25% of that water was not coconut water.
Right.
So these are misleading claims. These also have huge safety implications, because if I'm giving a 100% pure coconut water claimed by a company to a patient, whether it's not even 25% pure coconut water, so that has a huge safety implications. My only take in this is that there is CCPA, which works under the Consumer Protection Ministry, and the Food Safety Authority, which works under the Health Ministry. There is a lot of synergies between the two, but there's a lot of role which is very not very well defined between the two as well. So in certain areas, misleading advertising, where CCPA comes into force, but also has a health implication, they do refer to FSSAI. FSSAI is the mother body for all health related issues. Even if there is some questions on any food safety or food related issue, FSSAI has to be referred, but that coordination still can be better. And both the jurisdictions can, because they work under two different ministries, which have two different ways of looking at things. So there are sometimes certain non problem in synergies. But CCPA as a body, to me, is far more empowered. It has got far more power to implement penalties and stuff like that, which FSSAI is still a regulator. It is a regulator. It's not an authority in that sense. It has to work through a lot of channels, state governments, central, food safety inspectors in states, where its arms are, as Dr. Ramasamy very clearly said, its arms are slightly constrained. And as obviously, Food Safety Authority is a new body. Consumer Protection Act has been there since ages in India. We have a very strong consumer protection movement. Our campaigns like Jago Grahak and others have been there for many years. So it has much more established a system than food safety is. But yes, going forward, there should be much more synergies between the two. And that's my limited or initial understanding of that.
Right, Sanjeeb, thanks. Dr. Ramasamy, coming back to you, to the topic of our discussion, fast food. By fast food, I mean e-commerce, quick commerce. Where is the regulation? Is there any check there? What we get at home, through quick commerce, and if something is found faulty, is there any different set of benchmarks or guidelines for that?
Okay. We made a procedure for them, for the online marketing and the companies that are engaged in selling food items. In our licensing and registration regulation only, we made a procedure for them in 2018. So accordingly, they had to see to it all the sellers are to be licensed and registered, and they are supposed to follow all the mandatory requirement that is stipulated for every food business operators, that is given in the act and the regulations, the licensing and registration regulation, the labeling regulation, the advertisement regulation. So there is no such difference between FBO selling in a shop and in the e-commerce business, because the regulation is applicable for both of them. They have to ensure the minimum shelf life, and they have to train the delivery personnel. They have to delist the non-compliant products, and should avoid misleading claims and marketings. So as I said, we have a separate committee, advertisement and claims monitoring committee. So wherein we do the scrutiny of those products that is available domestically and in the e-commerce. And if we are finding any such non-compliances, we write to them, we write to the concerned state authorities also to take the action. And as I said, they have to follow the sanitary guidelines. I know it is stipulated in Schedule 4 of our licensing regulations, and inspection are also happening as per the said procedures. Yes.
Are consumer complaints increasing in this quick commerce and e-commerce area? Is there any trend like that?
Okay, so we have a separate dedicated portal for grievances, so whenever we receive some complaints related to the food, either through e-commerce platforms or whatever, so we will address it. We'll ask them to report to the concerned food business operators, and we have a nodal agency for all states and UTs. They can consult, they can report the problem to the concerned designated officers. If it is not addressed, further they can escalate to the FSSAI. So, there is, I will not say recent past we are getting more consumer grievances, but we do address whatever that is received in the portal. Yeah.
Okay. And what about imported items? Is there any different sort of rules for them? Imported food items?
Imported food also the same rule. As I said, whatever export is not under our domain. Whereas the imported commodity, whenever if somebody wants to import a product, they have to take a license. They have to see to it, it complies with the standards that is stipulated by FSSAI. Or if there is something novel food which they want to bring in, they have to take a prior approval, because we have categorized food into 3 segments basically. One is the standardized products wherein we have notified the standards. So the FBO have to ensure to meet the quality, safety standards and microbiological standards as given in the regulation. The another one is proprietary, wherein we are giving a scope for ease of business and innovation. Again, they cannot do any such combination, wherein we are giving a provision for them to make a product by using the standardized ingredients that is given in the regulation, for which there is no standards. So they have to comply with the safety standards and the quality standards of the nearest category. Here we are saying, it is also responsibility of the FBO to ensure the safety. Again, this is under our central licensing, so it is more, vigil under vigil. Another one thing is the non-specified food. Say, for example, some novel technology, some novel food, which is not, India is not having a history of consumption. So if something of some sort is getting imported, prior to import, they have to take a license by applying through the non-specified. We have a separate regulation. They have to get the approval and then import the commodity. Same the case if some commodity is getting imported, it is tested. We have authorized officers in the port, so they will take the sample. They do the testing. If there is any differences, I mean, say for example, in primary lab, if there is a different set of result, it will be given to the referral lab. So we will accept the result that is given by the referral lab. And there are several mechanisms in place. If importer want to make an appeal, they can make an appeal. We'll send it to another laboratory. But we see to it all the procedures that is applicable for a domestic FBO. The same thing is applicable for imported commodity. If it is entering India, it has to comply with the standard that is given by us.
Okay. Ankur, how should the consumer trust go up in the food industry? What is the best way forward? Are we following the right model of regulation? Like Dr. Ramasamy said that, we can't follow XYZ. It has to be an Indian model because ours is a diverse market, different kind. So what are your thoughts there? How should the consumer trust go up?
I mean, there are some universal principles of food safety, whether it is an Indian model or it is a European model or American model. If let's say if you eat meat and meat is perishable, highly perishable in 18 hours, it will go rancid. It does not matter whether you apply Indian standard or European standard, it will become rancid. Right? So there is a certain aspect which is universal in nature on food safety. Okay, the human body react in a certain manner. You can't have. So that universality of food safety is something that consumers need to become more aware of in terms of adulteration, in terms of nutrient claims, in terms of packaging claims made by the company, the dietary claims made by the company, and specifically expiry products. If they are eating packaged food, if they are dining in a restaurant, they need to become more aware of the food safety, which is to do with hygiene, which is to do with methods of cooking, and how the kitchen is managed and how the overall upkeep of restaurant is there. Now, it may sound very cliched, it may sound too obvious, but you have to see the pace of growth of this industry has been such that the consumer awareness on many of these issues is still lacking. And what is safe, what is unsafe, this itself is a matter of debate in the minds of the consumers. I mean, they don't even, it does not become obvious because food safety is an acquired behavior. It does not come naturally to humans. It has to be taught through education, through advocacy, and how you introduce that in education systems. How do you build a society which is aware of food safety? That's the issue. And I think we have not traveled enough on that aspect of how do you build a aware society on food safety. And I think that this is an area where FSSAI can play a tremendous role, a proactive role. I don't dispute what Dr. Ramasamy has said in terms of the guideline, the methods. It was an idea way ahead of its time. It got formed in 2008. It was a much improved version to 1954 Food Safety Act. But what has happened today is that you mentioned fast food. Today, we are talking about hyper-fast delivery chains. We're talking about fast food, fast consumption. We're talking about quick commerce. Something which is so fast is getting conflicted with a passive arrangement of food safety. So a lot of food safety escalations are dependent on the volition of the consumer. If the consumer reports, then I say that, okay, there are issues or not. If the consumer does not report, then everything is fine. But is everything fine becomes the question mark. And I think that is where what FSSAI need to do is create a baseline of data, baseline of information, baseline of reporting by companies, We are talking about digital. We are talking about integrated systems on data. We know how many companies are there in FMCG. We know how many restaurants are there. We need to bring them in the ambit of FSSAI. We need to make sure that they start to do disclosures in data form. It does not matter whether it is right or wrong. You start to have a data on how many trainings were conducted, what did they do with the expired oil, what did they do with the expiry management of the products. So you start to get disclosures. Once you start to get disclosures, you start to act upon that data in a proactive manner. So I think what the transition that consumers need. One, consumers don't know what to seek for. And this, if FSCI starts to play this proactive role in data management, in reporting, then consumers start to become aware of it. Then we start to use that data as a knowledge base to train people, to train societies, to train communities what to look for, what not to look for. You identify hotspots of safe food, unsafe food. You can actually predict where these adulteration may happen. You can actually predict which are the known hotspots. So I think that's the way we need to build a proactive vision, which is something that where we need to travel that journey. Is my view at this point.
Thanks. Good points, Ankur. A lot of food for thought, I suppose, for the regulator also. Sanjeeb, do you have a question for Dr. Ramasamy?
I have a very basic question for Dr. Ramasamy. Would FSSAI be more effective if it would have been moved from the health ministry? This is a very basic question. A lot of people do ask, what is FSSAI doing in health ministry? It should be either in food processing or food and consumer affairs. Why, if it would have been part of food processing, would it have been more effective in implementing its rules, regulations, and policies being?
I'd say no.
That's a tricky question. Yes,
yeah, it's a tricky question, but my answer is very straight because it is related to health. Food safety per se, if we see, it is an assurance that the food is safe. And nowadays, say for example, we are also asking, say as a regulator, if we are setting a standard for a biscuit, we are simply sitting in a AC room, inviting the experts, and then making a standard for the biscuit. This is how your safety should be. This is how your quality should be. This is the labeling aspect. So given to the FBO, he or she also follow the ethics. Okay, I have to comply with the standards. Otherwise, they may face the consequences. They do comply with it. So it's a trio. It's an integrated responsibility of the regulator, the food business, and the consumer together. So if that is what we keep on emphasizing, look into the serving size, start reading the label. So if it is given as 2 biscuits, if we are consuming 4 biscuits, then if we are saying it is a high fat issue, high salt issue, high sugar issue. So I feel the consumer should be empowered, continuous dissemination of information, continuous reinforcement should be there. Why I am saying it should be part of health? Because food, health, nutrition are interconnected. So of course, that is, if it is a MOFP, they bring the innovations. So at the same time, we are also not stopping the innovation. Now there are a lot of hue and cry about high fat, salt and sugar, ultra processed food, whereas the ultra processed is not legally defined. All we could say is, it contains cosmetic additives. It contains these 3 ingredients. We are forgetting our home cooked food also, high fat, salt, and sugar. And the science is dynamic. Risk is dynamic. Once 3 decades back, the growing children needed added sugar. Now we are saying there is no need for added sugar. Again, related to infant food, I just wanted to state some report came in, and then we are also again and again insisting that our regulation is on par with the global practice. There is no concern, and we did the special enforcement drive and the label analysis wherein they are specifically giving there is no sucrose added, but we are unable to convince the public. They are assuming the problem is still prevailing and it is tremendous. So I feel I strongly believe that is what I already said. Even 10 years, 20 years back, when I referred to the US FDA, I could see the basic things of hand washing, back, stay away from back. The same thing is prevailing now also. So our objectives are very clear, very simple. Only thing is that we have to, spread across. That is what we are doing when we do the state and central exchange. We do give all our awareness material that are generated, so that let them convert into the vernacular language and disseminate. So fairly, that is what I will say is major developments are happening. Again, it is everyone's role. Interministerial collaboration is required. Yes, certain things which FSSAI can do, certain things as we discussed for advertisement and claims, what is the timing, when is to be aired, it is not under our control. Whereas we can say, yes, this is misleading, this should not be. So of course, we are also trying the maximum possible to exchange domestically also, as well as internationally. We are also getting the best practices from the recognized global regulators.
Why does MOFPI think you as a hindrance, not as an enabler? You talk to anybody in MOFPI, they think that FSSAI is one of the biggest bottlenecks or hindrance, not an enabler of the industry as such.
All right,
because
those debates will go on, I suppose. And we are running completely out of time. Sharleen, do you have a question for Ankur?
I have a question actually for Dr. Ramasamy and for Ankur.
Right.
What can companies do to make sure that they don't get such notices, especially in the case of mislabeling, and how do they avoid such notices going forward? Because, when it goes on social media, the backlash that they're facing is insane.
Okay. That is what, earlier we had a single regulation for labeling and display and advertisement and claims. So now we made it to two separate regulation, wherein we are clearly giving what all to be in the label, how it should be. Say, for example, now, we receive several complaints like this oil is good, this oil is bad, this particular oil to be banned. We earlier it used to be, say, for example, in the ingredient list they have to simply mention contains, edible oil. Now they have to give the name of the specific oil as well. And for as an informed choice to the consumer, it has to be given in the descending order. The nutritional information table, it should contain all the necessary information, for the consumer. So each and every information that is required for the consumer, it is given in the labeling and display regulation, how it should be, whether it needs any warning. Say, for example, if it is a blended oil, what are the two types of oil and what is the ratio it is blended. Say, for example, if it is a areca nut, it comes with a warning. If it is a non-caloric sweetener, it comes with a warning. So everything is taken care by the labeling and display regulation. Same the case we have given in the advertisement also. Somebody should not advertise such way it will mean the other brand, and they should not promote such way it is a replacement for the meal. At the same time, we have also given a provision for them, how a nutrient claim should be, how health claim can be. We have a fortified food fortification regulation as well. So wherein we have given the limits for some staples. So wherein they can make a claim if the product contains this. Like, say, for example, if it contains iron, folic acid, they can give supports fetal development. If it is having a calcium, supports bone health. So, but then they are not supposed to make a mitigation claim or a preventive claim or a therapeutic claim.
Right.
We have a separate regulations for FSMP, FSDU, nutraceutical regulation. And so it is very well stipulated how they can make use of. If they are making a nutrient, say for example, if the food is rich in iron, they can make use of it as rich in iron or a good source of iron. So we have given the limits for that. So if something to be claimed as low, for that also we have given low fat, low sugar. So there are a lot of provisions for the food business operator per se. And we have a separate forum also if they want to make any other claim. So they have to give a scientific substantiation, authentic literature, trials, whatever they have conducted. So we are also permitting the same. So the food business operators should thoroughly get into read the regulations, the provisions, and make use of the same, so that the negative actions can be avoided.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such an elaborate and good answer. Yeah, Ankur, Sharleen had a question.
Yeah, so I'll make 2 points here, Sharleen, to answer your question. The first part is proactive disclosures can go a long way in making sure that this risk is mitigated. So, for example, let's say if you have made a change from old label to new label, you can issue a press note to say, starting effective 1st of this month, this batch of this product will carry new labels. Any old labels should be treated under the old guidelines. I have not seen such proactive disclosures by FMCG companies in press notes. Okay. So if they start to make these disclosures voluntarily on a proactive basis, it starts to send a positive signal in the industry that you are very serious about this labeling. You can do product recalls. Automotive companies do product recalls to say that, these products are now, we have done an audit. We have found that these many products and these many SKUs are still in the pipeline for old labels. We are recalling them. Now, they go a long way in establishing a brand equity in the minds of the consumer that this company, when it comes to food safety, takes it seriously. Now, tomorrow, let's say, even if there is a negative social media sort of story about that company, the risks will be mitigated around it. Right now, a lot of it is to do with compliance, and you don't bring this issue proactively in your marketing campaigns, in your communication campaigns, and that's one thing. The second thing is to understand that I think of it as a necessary evil, that it is lifting the debate of food safety if these stories are happening in social media. It is creating awareness. For the lack of any other tool, like you have to handle your brand risks in the front end with consumers, you have to handle this brand risk at the back end in supply chain with food safety. You can't say that it will not happen, it will never happen. Everybody is today a journalist. Everybody today is an investigative person who can sort of identify things and put it on social media. So I think the proactive processes that you need to build, these are the two things I think to mitigate this.
May I ask one question, ma'am, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Yeah. Will FOPL change the game in terms of food labeling for the industry?
See, it's a long-term debate. Of course, it will have its impact. See, we are in the process of bringing these three nutrients, added sugar, sodium, and sat fat in the front of pack with the increased font size and to be given in bold. Okay. Of course, FOPL is followed in several countries. Somewhere it is mandatory, somewhere it is voluntary. But we cannot see tomorrow. Imagine India having a traffic light or whatever, the star symbol. Will it stop the consumer to get a product? Tomorrow, if I go to a market, if I see 3 products with FOPL, one is 3-star, 4-star, I will definitely choose any one of the product. So, of course, it's a welcoming note, but it should not be projected such way. Bring FOPL will reduce the occurrence of NCD. NCD is a complex, non-communicable disease is a complex, and food is one such thing related to it. So, we are also working on it. At the same time, that is what I said. Certain things we can set, But at the same time, we have to look into the ground reality, implementation, whether it is applicable to all segment of the industry, MSMEs, small food business operators, all.
Right. We are totally out of time. We have many audience questions, but there is one question we should take related somewhat to what Sharleen just asked. It's come from Mr. Nagaraj Chandrasekhar. I think it's for Dr. Ramasamy. What has happened to the FSSAI proposal to put in green, yellow, red labels on packaged food proposed some time back, some years ago, actually? Any timeline for that?
Okay, so I think I already answered the same, but still, yeah, we draft notified this long time back, and then we could not take it in the Gazette. We are also still working on it. So we are in the process of bringing something as a warning label yet to be decided. So the matter is currently subjudice in the Honorable Supreme Court. Yes, the authority is working on it. Sooner or later, we'll bring some FOPL.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ramasamy. Thank you, Ankur, Sanjeeb, Sharleen. It was a very good discussion. Thanks, all of you. And there's lots to think about. What should the regulation be like? We spoke about education, advocacy, awareness, data management. More when we meet again. Thank you so much.